As NFC playoff picture after
amazing
15 weeks, we enter the final 3 weeks, and look at the top: 12-2, 12-2, and then the 5 seed, the Vikings, are 12-2. As we'll note throughout the next several days, the Vikings control their own destiny and can still be the 1 seed with a bye if they win out against the Seahawks, the Packers, and the Lions. Incredible performance by the Vikings. Plenty to break apart and plenty to break down. Jamie, back to you.
Okay, what a definition of a come-running team if the Vikings, who sit at the 5 seed right now, jettison themselves up to the 1 seed by controlling their own destiny. The Vikings have to go to Seattle this weekend, host the Packers next, and then go to Detroit to finish out their year. They're 12-2 right now. Bears, Vikings. Peter, it was not very dramatic, which felt great for Vikings fans, but kind of annoying for Bears fans. It was just a win.
Well, it wasn't pretty early. Like, Sam Darnold didn't play well early, and the game was kind of like, all right, let's go. A lot of John Hussey in the refs, a lot of flags, 20 penalties. It was a lot of flags.
Did you enjoy John Hussey?
We always love a primetime game where we could talk about the refs first. I then look at what stepped up in this game, and it was a quarterback who was on a 1-year deal, Sam Darnold, who showed up. Aaron Jones, who was jettisoned by the Packers because they wanted to get younger, prettier, and more expensive, and Josh Jacobs. Blake Cashman came back. He was all over the field, new guy. Nice. Jonathan Grenard, pass rush was incredible, new guy. Like, this is this cast of characters of misfit toys almost put together, and yet here they are, and they're 12-2. And I'm watching Kevin O'Connell throughout this game, and just, it's calm, it's composed, we got this. Start off ugly, start off rocky. We got this, guys. Don't worry. Home crowd carried them a bit here. Guys, the Vikings are 12-2 or better for the first time since 1998. And that 1998 team was the Randy Moss, Chris Carter, Dennis Green, amazing offense, Brian Billick team. Yeah. Kevin O'Connell's 12 wins. It's the second time he's done this in 3 years. It's just a second coach to win 12 games in his first in franchise history. Bud Carson was the only coach to do it twice. Also, we see the Dan Campbell, let's go, man, I love you, and it's so inspiring, and like you get everyone from Bill Simmons to Ian Rappaport to Schefter to everybody, like, you must watch this, the first thing you do to wake up. Sure. I watched Kevin O'Connell's post-game speech. It's like, hey, Aaron Jones, man, we're really happy to have you on the team. Flips him a ball, like, let's go, guys, next week. And like, they love him too. It's like a totally different vibe, and yet you don't see it. I'll run through a wall for Kevin O'Connell. Yeah. Those players are all new and like weren't wanted elsewhere, and they found a way to galvanize. And yesterday, that could have been a game. Like, the Bears were in that early. Second half, they came out and they're like, let's just put them away. Mm-hmm. They're dialed in. I know a lot of people are like, yeah, but Lions and Packers have issues too. In fact, the Packers have 2 more losses than the Vikings. So I'm watching this last night and I'm like, maybe this is a special team and maybe we're overlooking them just because of everyone's previous history, and this could be one of those units that just comes together.
Yeah, they're going to come together. This game was very hard for me personally to watch and get excited because the Chicago Bears, they weren't that team for me to make that kind of judgment on the Minnesota Vikings. But I did like to see defensively, to see Grenard. You talked about him going out there and creating a lot of those opportunities. I look at Chicago and just, you look at their first 3 series and it was just like, what are we watching here? But the dominance that I think is going to come later on for the Minnesota Vikings is going to be able to come up and shore up that defense. And that defense, they were bringing it. I like watching those guys coming off the edge and just firing off, creating opportunities, because that's what it's going to be about especially when we get into the playoff situation. It's going to be able to be opportunistic, create those type of opportunities. It's not always just about getting a sack and getting up. But can you go out there and can you get those balls and can you do the sack strip? Like, that stuff, like, that creates game changers in the playoffs. So when I go and I think about the competition that's going to be in the playoffs in the NFC for them, this defense is going to be the telltale for me. But this game was, it was, I don't know about you guys, but for me, it was a non-factor as far as judging the Minnesota Vikings. Now, if they would have played poorly in this game, then that would have given me a lot of concern for the Vikings.
Well, the judgment in the past for the Vikings is that is a type of game that they, even if they had won it, but if they let the Bears in late, then the doubts would have
sure, absolutely.
The fact that they were able to all your points in the second half, put the nail in the coffin is comforting, perhaps.
Yeah, it's comforting. I mean, I look at this as like an in-season scrimmage. I just call it what it is. I mean, no disrespect to the Chicago Bears, but we know they're not playing great football, right? So it is what it is. They're not playing great football. So when you look at this game, you try to see, okay, what is it that they're executing at? Okay, was Sam Darnold very accurate? How was the protection up front? Were we able to, execute on some of the blitzes and pressures that we were trying to get? Did we have the blitz in order to get pressure, right? So you start checking all those boxes as a coordinator to start figuring out exactly what do we need to shore up before this playoff run? Because when I look at the Minnesota Vikings, I look at it and say, who have they played this year? Yes, they're 12-2, and you can't control who's on your schedule, right? You play who's up next. But these guys are 2-2 against playoff teams. They beat the Texans, they beat the Packers early in the season. That's great. But they've lost to the Lions and they've lost to the Rams. So when I look at exactly who they are as a team, they haven't been tested a lot this year. Now, these next 3 games, they will be tested. Seattle Seahawks are coming up. You got the Packers and you have the Lions. That's what I'm going to be waiting to see. That's what I'm going to be looking at to figure out exactly who is this team before they get into the playoffs.
The Vikings deserve all their congratulations this morning. They're 12-2. It's very cool that the top 3 teams are all 12-2 in the NFC. They could get the 1 seed. We didn't even know what's going to happen. The Vikings took care of business last night. I'm going to attempt to talk about the Bears, all right?
Okay.
And here I'm going to try to give some good news to the Bears. Here's the best news. 3 more. Just 3 more games. That's all we got. 3 more. We can get through this and get the hell out of there. At this point, I feel like the Bears fans, maybe even Bears players, it's like in prison when you're doing those tally marks on the wall just to try to get through your sentence. Or maybe they have an actual advent calendar they're opening up till the end of the season. They open a door every game, and that was the Minnesota door and the Detroit door and the Seattle door. I watched the team, and I'm like, honestly, could they just concede the last 3 games? What are they even doing out there? What is the point of them being out there? Because you might say, well, Caleb needs reps. No, he doesn't. He's had plenty of reps. He's had months of reps. He's had hundreds and hundreds of reps. Or they'll say, we're just trying to get better. No, you're not. You're not getting better. Last time you played Minnesota, you took them to overtime. This was not even a game. Well, we're trying to play spoiler. No, you're not. You're not spoiling anything. It's just not happening. Do you know that they were shut out in the first half in this game? Do you know they were shut out in the first half last week? Do you know they were shut out in the first half the game before? That's 3 games in a row being shut out in the first half. And you watch this team and you just say, all you think the whole time is, by God, what Messiah is going to coach this team next year? What Christ figure are they going to bring in to walk on water and change this team into anything resembling a contender? It's not going to be Bill Belichick. It's not going to be Thomas Brown. They're not going to promote him. From some of the things I'm reading, I don't think it's going to be Mike Vrabel either. He may have another job in mind. And this is the shot. I want this season to be over. I think everyone involved with the organization wants the season to be over. And the only good news that I have this morning is that it almost is. 3 more, guys. We can get through it. Happy New Year.